Hey, friends. So, I've had an interesting couple mornings, couple days, in that for whatever reason, I've woken up the last couple mornings and had just kind of uh, like a heaviness in my system, a heaviness in my mind. And yesterday it was really kind of bizarre because I woke up and I looked out the window and there was just fog everywhere. Like the whole, and this is Albuquerque, New Mexico. We never have fog. We love fog because it means there's some actual moisture in the air. But I don't know that I'd ever seen fog like this in this part of the country. So, but it was this kind of uncanny reflection of my internal mood too, because I felt kind of foggy and I felt kind of the weightiness um, of things. And I think I may have even mentioned this in my post yesterday, but had a great day, but woke up this morning and kind of felt similar. And there was part of me that wanted to rebel against the feeling, right? I wanted to kind of not succumb to this downward dragging energy, which I think is a healthy impulse, FYI, even despite what I'm about to say. Because what I did internally, I sort of took this position or posture. I felt my mind taking a position of I'm going to rise up, or I'm going to I'm going to be a warrior for light, right? This is my internal stance. And again, there's something really there was something kind of amazing about that, kind of beautiful to see, because I wasn't really doing it on purpose. It was like my mind or something even beyond my mind just gave me an uplift of energy. It was like I felt an elevation in that literally just lifted the weight. It just kind of it felt like immediately the weight was no longer heavy. The weight was just, now I was immediately capable of bearing whatever the weight was. And that happened both yesterday morning and this morning. And and so this internal kind of churning yeah, it's like an energetic vortex almost, was a really striking feeling. And then the next sort of step that happened was that I recognized something, because a warrior for light, right? Understanding what that means and defining what that means. Somehow in the process of then sitting with that and kind of the next couple of minutes of my internal experience, I recognized something. I was able to see, oh, light is something that I'm kind of picking and choosing what that means to me. And I need to be aware that I don't simply turn light and dark into a kind of shorthand for my own preferences. It was like a recognition of a much larger pattern, right? And this was something that just kind of flashed and then was gone. It was just a momentary, like, boing, and then the the energy or the thought kind of left me alone. But I kept coming back to it over the course of yesterday and then this morning again, because I was like, what does that mean? That when I define light and dark, I it's almost like I pick and choose what attributes light and dark are going to have based on my own prejudices. They just become shorthand for my own prejudices. And I was reminded then of the Bhagavad Gita, where you have Arjuna and you have the god Shiva, and they're having, the whole book is them having a conversation, and Shiva takes on all these various forms. And I believe the last form, or certainly one towards the end of the book that he takes on, is the destructor, the total destructive force. And Arjuna sees a vision of the armies that are standing on the battlefield, just decimating each other and watching family and friends be slaughtered, and it's this kind of horrifying vision. But the God is saying, I am this as well, right? Like I'm not just the light, I'm also the dark. And so as that image came back to me, and that story came back to me, I found myself sort of distinguishing between how my mind perceives light and dark, which is inherently conceptual, inherently limited, and only kind of at whatever level of depth my mind happens to be at the time. These definitions of light and dark get deeper and they get more deep and more superficial depending on the altitude that my mind is hanging out at. And that can vary from day to day, can vary from moment to moment. All of which is to say, that's a limited and sort of ultimately it's a definition of light and dark that's pretty limited in terms of its utility and in terms of its ultimate meaning. But the experience of consciousness beyond the mind, which is like a backdrop of energy, a backdrop, according to the Vedanta tradition, of ecstasy, bliss, ananda. Most fundamental experience of existence is ecstasy. So even in the context of a battlefield, the horrors of a battlefield, there is a vantage point within consciousness where all of that is held in a context of ecstasy, if we can believe that. This is where the mind rebels, right? The mind says, no, I can't accept that. I can't believe that, because the mind can't actually conceive of that, because the experience of fundamental ecstasy is not a mental experience. But as I came through my contemplation yesterday and today, I started to feel like, oh, if I really want to look for light, that's where I'd find it. It's not light and dark. Light in that sense is not a polarity with darkness. The polarity of light and dark may well exist, good and evil, right? But those are all going to be limited concepts, and they're going to be context dependent. How could you have good and evil without the context of human incarnation, without the context of human society, human conditioning, the needs and the sort of like architecture of the human body? Things are good and bad. What is it called? There's nothing good nor evil, but thinking makes it so. That's, I forget who that is. I think it's from Shakespeare. But it's all context dependent. It's all relative, which is fine, and which is not unimportant. Robin, I can't shed my human body, at least not without no longer being here, right? I just because it's context dependent doesn't mean that it doesn't define my reality as a human being. It just means that as a spiritual being, as a conscious being, I have access to a realm way beyond that. And so, again, as I kind of saw myself picking and choosing what light feels like, what dark feels like, and I felt myself kind of settling into a security around what light feels like, I was then provoked or challenged to question that and to say, well, but if it's a relative definition, that means it's flimsy, that means it's tippy, that means it's not an anchor like the fundamental bliss of being is an anchor. That's an anchor that no storm can touch, right? It's because it's prior to any experience within the content of consciousness. So a couple mornings of waking up feeling heavy kind of have provoked or inspired this reckoning with my own concepts and this real examination of where I get my what I hold on to, what I can release, and what I actually hold on to. So it's been interesting. It's been a, and the primary way that I have access to that more fundamental level is through meditation, is through stillness, is through sitting, silence, connecting with being, which is prior to becoming, evolution. So that's kind of where I've landed as of now with all of this. I feel like this is an ongoing, who knows, maybe I'll wake up tomorrow and have another insight about it. We'll see. But that's kind of where I've landed as of now, as of this morning. And it's exciting to feel myself having an experience of a kind of challenging or heavy nature. And then and that converting very quickly into a kind of inner work contemplative exercise and creating a new form of connection. In other words, not just solving the individual riddle or getting rid of it or talking myself down from it, but actually connecting to something that's beyond it. And letting the little things dissolve, letting the surface bubbles dissolve. So it's kind of where I've landed as of now. Thanks for watching, people. I appreciate you. Have a wonderful day. I will see you tomorrow.